Hey guys, it's Ricer Boy, and today I'm gonna take this off because it's really hot outside, even though it sets a bad example. So this is my 2001 Mazda Miata, and depending on what country you're from, you might know this as the MX-5, the Mark 2.5, or the NB generation. One way or another, I've owned this vehicle for a few months, and let's just say I've found at least 5 things that I hate about it. The first thing I hate are the seat belts. Something you may know is that halfway through this generation of the Mazda Miata, Mazda actually revised the seats in order to make them more comfortable to alleviate complaints about them. And while these improved seats are great, they've created a whole other new issue. See, the problem is that because of government standards, the actual plastic seatbelt plug has to be a certain width to fit into the slot. However, whenever you're trying to pull this through in the morning, it literally gets jammed between the seat itself and the plastic side pillar here. So it gets stuck in limbo, and you have to use the force of 1,000 suns to yank it through. And you think that that would just be the extent of the problems with this seatbelt, but no. The retractors are actually at a completely different angle than in any other car because this is a convertible car. So what it means is that the retractors are at such an angle that when you pull the seatbelt out, as you can see, it doesn't want to come back. So I always feel very condescending whenever my passengers leave their seatbelt hanging, and I have to remind them, don't leave it on the door or else it'll get squished, because this is quite a problem. So since this car is from 2001, it has a few creature comforts that we now expect in all vehicles. This is the key fob to the car. It has power unlocking ability for both of the doors and for the trunk. Pretty neat, right? Problem number 2 actually only comes into play when you visit the interior of the car. Do you see that on the door panel? You only have one button, and that's your power locks. There is no way to power unlock the doors from inside the car, which means that you have to be a flexible ex-gymnast like I am in order to unlock the passenger door every time from the interior like this. Why did you do this, Mazda? But sadly, besides forgetting a button to put in the interior, the problems don't end there. The trunk release for the car is located inside this hidden center storage area. Now, you may think that that's a power switch, but unfortunately, it's manually operated. And while this may have an advantage in the case of your battery dying and you being able to access your luggage, the problem comes with how much force it takes to open this. And despite the fact that I work out regularly, for some reason, I can't seem to get the required muscles to do a T-Rex claw and then pry like that up on one very small plastic lever. I mean, you can use your imagination to tell me what sort of exercises involve doing that, but either way, it's problem number 2. Now, problem number 3 is partially self-inflicted with these aftermarket wheels that I put on my car. From the factory, this 2001 Special Edition Miata comes with 16-inch polished aluminum wheels. Now, when I bought this car, I actually drove the car for a considerable amount of time on them, and I noticed quite a few issues. Having wheels that small and that light honestly made the car feel twitchy and dangerous on high-speed long-haul highway roads. And from the way most driving is done in America, being solid and predictable on the interstate is kind of critical. However, even though the car was jumpy at high speed and difficult to handle in rain, something that was good is it actually reduced the unsprung weight of the vehicle. These wheels that I have on the car now are XXR 527s, and they're a 17-inch wheel. Now, because they're heavier, they actually increase the unsprung weight of the car, which, to explain simply, is any amount of mass on the car that has to be rotated by the engine and is outside of the basic body and frame and structural components of the vehicle. So even though these heavier wheels actually increase the stability and these tires increase traction, the problem that I get is it actually makes my car slower. Now, Miata guys will argue endlessly about what the best wheel and tire setup is. You have some people who are autocrossing on hideous 15-inch wheels that look like they're pizza cutters. And even though there's a lot of people that would hate on me putting large wheels on this car, I like the way this looks. To me, it fills out the fender flares and matches the wheel size to what they put on the Mazda Speed variety of this car. But any way you slice it, it's difficult to find a wheel and tire setup for this car to balance out daily driving ability, aesthetics, and performance. Now for problem number 4, I'm gonna turn on accessory mode. The fourth thing I hate goes to the craptastic power antenna. Just look at my car right now. It looks like an RC car. Listen, maybe back in 2001 this was considered to be a luxury feature, but today it's just annoying. Every now and then it gets stuck on one of its positions. Secondly, it's coated in grease, so if you accidentally brush up against it, it can get all over your clothes or something that you're carrying. And additionally, as you can see, I have the hardtop on at the moment. If I were to try to remove the hardtop now, I wouldn't be able to walk backwards because this antenna is sticking up so high it would be directly in the way of me taking off the top. Whoever decided that this should have been made power and not the trunk release and unlock for the car should be fired.
You're fired.
So then, for the 5th thing I hate is somewhere within this smiling face of a grill. And that would be the AC condenser, because in my personal opinion, the climate control of this car is weak. Now some of you guys probably already know that my last car was a Nissan, and something that I've seen constant in pretty much all Nissans that my family has owned and that I have driven is that they've all had good climate control. I don't know if they oversize their AC compressors or have better heater cores or what that is, but this car just can't measure up to that. Now I have yet to diagnose some things as a home mechanic to see if this thing is leaking refrigerant or if the fins are bent on any of the mechanisms that transfer the temperature. But one way or another, you have to understand how important climate control is. Because at least here in Oklahoma, it's a relatively pleasant day in the 80s. However, in our summertime, we can see temperatures as high as 110. And last winter time, we had a wind chill of -15 on one day. And that's in Fahrenheit for my international viewers. I'm sorry for saying weird numbers. But if you know how extreme those temperatures are, having good climate control is a necessity year-round. And while I'm going to try to fix this, it's probably the most annoying thing because it can be too hot or too cold, and neither of them is comfortable. But guys, those are just 5 small issues that I have with an overall fantastic vehicle. It was difficult to come up with that list alone because I know that there's other people out there that have made similar lists with their Miatas, but I wanted something that was unique to the NB generation, something that didn't harp on things you probably already knew about this car, and things that I think you might want to know if you're considering on buying one of these cars yourself. But I can't seem to understate how much I really like this car. Just from the way it looks to even the way it sounds, and especially the way it handles, it's hard to argue with the Miata. But I hope you guys found it entertaining. I know that some of you out there liked seeing me when I'm critical about something, and as we all know, no car is perfect. So no matter what's going on in the world, I want everybody to focus on what's positive and to think about making improvements every day because we all know we can. So please, everybody, stay home, stay safe, and as always, thank you for watching, and peace out.